right, so this week, third grade, we're going to be starting our line design. And it's a study of lines. Just like every year that we do, we always start off learning a line project. So before we even go into it, let's start with our 5-minute Zentangle sketch. Take out your pencil and your sketchbook, and I'd like you to try to recreate what you see on this page here. Step 1 is, as you can see right here, you're going to be making a line like this way on each side and a line on the other end. Step 2, inside, you're going to be beginning kind of these triangle pyramid tops, and you're going to do it inside each one, following the same pattern right here, which is you do another line like this and another line like this. And that way you eventually get to this point here. Okay. So in our lines today, I know you're going to learn 3 different types of lines. You're going to be able to create a 4-color pattern, and you're going to be able to identify work by Gustav Klimt. So 3 types of lines are our vertical lines, as you can see, up and down, our horizontal lines, left to right, and a diagonal line that goes on an angle like this. So now take a moment and look around your room and see what type of lines can you see around your room. And whatever lines you see, can you identify them? Are they horizontal? Are they vertical? Or are they diagonal? The artist that we're going to look at, and remember as I'm playing this video, you can pause it at any point. The artist we're going to look at and recreate our own version and style is Gustav Klimt. He was born in Austria, and he took care of his family and his brother's family, because when he was young, his father had passed away, and he and his brother had taken care of the family. And then his brother's family, his brother had passed away, so he promised to take care of them. So in his work, you'll always find some symbolism about a gold leaf. And he always added something, it's a gold leaf is a type of foil that you can add onto your painting. And it looks like gold. It's not real gold, but his dad had worked in that business. And so that's why it's very important to him. To give you an idea of how popular he is, in 2006, his artwork sold for $135 million. And this is where Klimt worked. So he had a studio in a little cottage in Vienna, and what he would do is he'd overlook the fruit trees in the garden every day. So we're quite lucky that it's now a museum, which is very rare because a lot of the most famous artists, you can't ever see any of their studios. They were renting or they had other places. So this was his tiny little studio in here with his window. And you'll be able to see where he got his inspiration of patterns and colors from because of looking at the fruit trees in the garden. So here are a few other of his most famous paintings. You've got the Tree of Life, and then his portrait of Adele Bloch-Boillard in 1907. And you can notice there's a lot of pattern, a lot of curling lines, a lot of shapes. There's a lot to look at. So our project is we're going to look at one of his earlier works. He had it where it was a baby and covered in all these types of quilts. So you're going to be able to draw yourself or a character inside of a quilt or under a quilt, and have a lot of pattern. So the first thing before we even begin, I want you to think about a face. You're going to start by drawing a face, and you're going to pick the location on your paper. Do you want it in the middle? Do you want to start near the top? You don't want to have your piece all the way on the bottom unless they have the blanket kind of or quilt wrapped around towards the top. You want to use your paper well. So what you can do is you can choose your favorite character or a character that you know that you enjoy drawing. Like these are some examples here. And start with just their head and maybe their hands or arms, as you know. And yes, you could have 2 if you would like. So then we're going to start drawing our quilt. And we'll start drawing by adding in bumps, textures, small areas, large areas, and like I said, we're going to cover the entire paper. And I will have that next. So one last thing, these are some previous year's examples that other students had done in my art room. You can see that they added in faces like a smiley face, emoji, a cat, two puppies next to each other, themselves, or here are two turtles dreaming underneath their blankets with a moon window. So these are just some thoughts. Let's get started. All right, friends. So today we're going to be looking at doing our Gustav Klimt lesson here, okay? So these are some examples that I had done in previous years. This is, and you can see I'm always constantly working on it. We usually do a really big 12 by 18 paper, but this year we're going to do a 9 by 12, so that way we can do a few more projects as we go, and that this fits in your desk. So this is a 9 by 12 and this is 12 by 18. And like I was talking about, you're going to be adding in your face of your character, probably more near the top, because the goal of this project is to work on our quilts and having the texture and the color and some of those different values showing through. So this is a pencil one that I had started last year, and you can kind of see that I sketched out the face here, whereas if you put it more in the middle, you're going to have all this open space above. So I have seen some examples with kids, other students, that we added in other characters. So bringing in those examples that I had done, I added, like if you wanted to have a couple, so here's like a family of pigs, here's a pig laying on its pillow, and there's another one snuggled up, and you can add like the Z's, and here's another one with his little piggy tail, and then I added in the quilt with all the different texture lines, etc. here. Here's another one where you could do some fun zigzags or patterns, and I moved this one more towards the lower end. But you'll notice that things change if you have your character in the center versus if you have characters that kind of off-center, more up in the corner or more lower. It gives a little bit more of a story. So think about where you place your character's head. So here's another, I know I had a few friends that really loved Pokemon, so I did Squirtle in the center here, and Pikachu kind of up in this corner, sleeping up here. So when you go to do your drawing today, I want you to think about placement of your characters' heads. And you can add one, you can add multiple, you could add, like in our examples, you can have a portrait of yourself. It's completely up to you. So on your paper, you're going to have your paper here, okay? I want to make sure I'm in line with my wonderful. The next thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to use a pen.